everybody, so today I'm planning on doing the 3-color challenge. You can probably see that in the title of the video. So yeah, good morning everyone. Today, yeah, I'm going to try and do that. I've got this little random hex color code generator site that I've just kind of pulled up, and we're going to pick out our colors, and then I'm going to bring them into the file, and then I'm likely going to then things will get sped up and you'll get to hear my lovely voice in a different context because I'm doing this live, which is wow. Okay, so we're going to generate our colors and see what we get. Okay, so ooh okay, that's not my favorite shade of blue, but I guess we'll work with it. Red and green. Well, I guess we'll get plenty of contrast out of this. Honestly, I'm not the happiest with this, but we'll have to just see how we go. Oh god, okay, I will swatch these and get back to you. Okay, so yikes, those particular colours are really not my favourite, especially when it came into making the illustration. I feel like colour-wise this is probably actually one of my weakest pieces I've ever done, because those colours are so bright and so saturated and so far apart from each other, and you're just going to see they are some of my least favourites, I've got to admit. I'm far more into my pastel colours, so this was really a challenge. Yeah, but yeah, so as you can see, here I am swatching everything out, wanting to see how they look against each other, wanting to see how they'll blend using my gradient tool. And there's something important to note for while I'm doing this challenge. I have allowed myself to use anything that is a digital tool that I want in order to enhance what I'm doing. That means I can use layer styles, and I can use masking layers and all that cool stuff that can in a way expand my colour palette while still keeping it true to the core colours. And they're what's giving the challenge, really, that I didn't get to pick what the main colours of the piece were. And I think that's keeping it in the same spirit as when you do it with markers and you're allowed to layer them up. So you can see I just did my little thumbnail and I expanded it, and I decided to do a kind of gallery piece with this girl who's looking at a statue, and she's holding a glass of wine and she's being all fancy. And I decided to do this because when I looked at those colours with all those bright primaries, the first thing that I ended up thinking of was geometric shapes, which made me think a lot more of modern art and installations, because I feel like a lot of galleries go towards that very bright value kind of route these days, and I think it's because they want it to be very bold and very striking. And a good way to do that is to saturate your colours a lot, whereas I prefer something a bit gentler on the eye, so I generally go with my pastel hues, which I feel are a little easier to look at for a longer time, whereas these are things that you're sort of supposed to see as a whole, making the entire room, rather than taking in as individual pieces necessarily, because no one's going to spend 2 hours looking at a white canvas, for instance, no matter how lovely and textured it may be. Yeah, so you can see I'm drawing this girl. I really like how she turns out, especially in the way that she's drawn in the line art. I think she's really cute. And you can see I've got my second sketch layer, I think it is, already. I'm not sure if I do 3 sketch layers or 2 sketch layers. I can't really remember, but either way she's looking quite nice. I really like the little A-line skirt dress thing that I gave her. I think it's really cute. And as you can see, there's the unicorn, because there needs to be a unicorn in this picture for the Juneicorn challenge. Yeah, and today's prompt was just do what you like, which is part of why I'm also piling on another challenge today, because I really wanted to have something to go off of, and I think colours can be a great inspiration for the kind of piece you want. So I feel like if you're having any trouble getting inspiration, picking out a colour palette can really help you with deciding what you want to draw. Yeah, and you can see his face is turning out really scary in this particular drawing, and I end up going back and completely redoing the unicorn because it's just, there you can see. It was just too much. I decided to make a very sad statue with a broken horn, and I feel like that works out really well. But as you can see in this part, I've gotten rid of the lower parts of the legs, and I ended up really regretting that, because I liked the way that the hoof broke out of the frame of the background beforehand, so I ended up bringing back in those legs later on to try and give that shape that I saw in the thumbnail back, because I really enjoy like messing around with how the background interacts with the foreground characters. And yeah, like right now I'm treating the two as quite separate, which is probably not the smartest thing to do if I want to create really good scenery, but I think for now it's like working really well for me. Oh yeah, and here I am going with, I'm not sure if this is another sketch. I think this is another sketch layer. Yeah, it's another sketch layer, I think. So that's fun. You can see I'm just like refining her, drawing the inside of her mouth, making sure that everything is where I want it to be in terms of details. Actually, this might be the line art. I might end up recoloring it, I can't remember, it's been too long. And you can see me there with my curve tool. I really love using the curve tool because it just makes things so neat and nice. And even though my art isn't always the cleanest because I'm far too lazy for it to be, I do enjoy occasionally just having that smooth line as if I'd done a vector. Even though I've never actually used a vector program because I don't know, I'm more comfortable in pixel programs, I think, is the issue. I probably should look into them if it's what I like, but I don't know. But yeah, so this was actually like really fun to draw. I really enjoy challenges, which I think people can notice from the fact that I started this channel while doing a month challenge. But yeah, it was like, I find them really fun because they help you find inspiration, and they're a great way to expand your portfolio of things that you've drawn, because you end up doing all of these original illustrations that aren't fan art, and they can just really help boost whatever collection of works you want to make. So I really would recommend doing a couple challenges every now and again, seeing what you can do. And even though some of them will be really quick and low effort, like I've done a lot of very quick watercolour sketches for this particular challenge month, because it's my comfort zone and I find it really easy. I've also wanted to push myself and do some bigger digital illustrations throughout the month, because I feel like pushing myself is a good idea. It gets me into the habit of doing something a bit more substantial, and I think it's a really good idea if you're getting into art to just remember that you can, of course, do smaller, lower effort illustrations in your sketchbook, and those are really great exercises, but every now and again, for like no specific reason, feel free to push yourself into doing something a little bit bigger, taking it just that little step further, and you'll find that it like really helps with the quality of your portfolio, and you know, you can just feel proud that you made something that's a bit more original. And here you can see I'm doing all my swatching, and I like zoomed out and put the colours around where I wanted them before going in and making it all a bit smoother and cleaner. And I'm really liking the girl with like the dark navy hair and the dark navy skirt and the red top and red beret. She's very stereotypical, which maybe isn't the most creative thing, but I don't know, I think it's a good visual shorthand. Well, there's another thing, using visual shorthand, never ever feel embarrassed to do that. It's a really great way for people to know exactly what you mean in a drawing, and remember, being easy to read is always one of the most useful things when you're being an illustrator, which isn't exactly what I want to be. I actually want to do comics, but even if you're doing comics or any kind of art, it's a really good idea for people to know what it is you've actually drawn and what it is you're trying to get across. And visual shorthand, like the glass of wine and the French beret, can really get across that this is like a person who's into art, and they're a bit snobby perhaps, and and the positive reaction they have to the statue implies that the statue itself is a very good statue, even if it's not, it's just my really rubbish drawing of a statue of a horse. But yeah, it's things like that that people can understand what it is exactly you mean. Oh, and here you can see I'm doing the background, and the background was looking so saturated against everything else, but I still wanted colours in the background, so you'll end up seeing me like lowering the opacity on that and pushing it backwards in that way. Because one of the best ways to create contrast is through saturation, and yet saturation and luminosity are some of the best ways to create contrast between two objects. And and when you lower the opacity you can lower both at once, which is really good and really useful. Yeah, and you can see I'm getting near the end of it, and I've made a little white outline around my characters so they stand out a bit better, and I've brightened some things up, and yeah, that's looking really nice. And you see me doing just some final adjustments, but yeah, I'm really happy with this piece, considering they're not my favourite colours ever. I kind of wish there'd been a colour palette picked that was a bit more in line with what I prefer, but that's the nature of the challenge, and I hope that I rose to it, and I hope that you all enjoyed yourselves watching me draw with 3 randomly chosen colours. So have a nice day, and I'll see you next week. Bye!